Welcome to the channel. My name is Trent. This is Highway Spec. Thank you for joining me today. And today we're going to do things a little bit different. Right now in Las Vegas, the SEMA Show has just kicked off, and it is a collection of some of the most unique vehicles out there, and heavily modified or factory, whatever it is, they definitely bring the goods. And I went for about 10 years straight. Unfortunately, work now doesn't allow me to go down as often as I would like, but I'm super excited to show you 6 of my favorite builds from SEMA 2022. So first, we have an F-150 Lightning that is built by Gin Edition. I hope I'm saying that right. Anyway, it is dark green, 24-inch wheels. It has, big brakes, air suspension, and it's really cool what they did in the front. We'll get to that in a second. But of course, it is modified to have sponsors on there, so they have like electric bikes and things like that you can put on there. But look at that interior. That is really cool. I like the 5 bucket seats. I know it's totally impractical for a truck, but I love the look of it. The dark green with this kind of orangish, tannish leather. I really like the look of it, hence why it is put on this list. And look at that. All the air supplies, tank lines, just looks beautiful inside that frunk, and I think that is a perfect placement for it. Something that in the past, if you built a truck on air ride, you'd have to put it in the bed, but with the electric vehicle, obviously you can put that right there in the front. So there you go. Looks very cool in the bed. You've even got a little generator there for all the people that hate on the electric vehicles, but hey, it looks pretty cool. I really like what they did with this. Let me know what you think of this F-150 Lightning. Next up, a 69 Camaro from Ring Brothers. Now, Ring Brothers makes some incredibly amazing, highly detailed vehicles, typically American muscle, and this is no different in that it is a 69 Mustang. It has a wide body kit, and I love the details of the fender here. Now, they've done something like this for a couple of years, but the attention to detail and the spec on this is why it is on here. Absolutely love the exterior color. And then if you keep going down, so you can see that nice wide stance. Look at those tires. That's just ridiculous. But if you keep going down, look at that engine bay. That is just the cleanest engine bay ever. So 5 inches wider in the rear, 3 inches wider at the front. And, obviously it's got coilovers, HRE wheels. They even moved the wheels forward 1.5 inches to extend the wheelbase. And of course, it cranks out more than 1,000 horsepower thanks to an LS3 with a Whipple supercharger. And then look at this interior. I love the spec of this interior. I love what they did. Really interesting kind of throwback design on the steering wheel. You've got a manual transmission in there, leather on the dash, things that you don't typically see on some of these builds. But it's got digital gauges, and they also got rid of the back seat to save weight, which is kind of interesting, but mainly I think it's probably there for the roll cage. So what do you think of this build? Does this Camaro strike your fancy? For me, obviously it does. All right, I am ready to get hated on in the comments, but I love this Dodge Charger SRT Daytona concept because I love to see what Dodge has envisioned for the future of electric vehicles. Everybody's moving to electric. The European Union just mandated it by 2035. So whether you think it's a good idea or not, it's the way things are going. So let's see what people can do with it. And I really like that Dodge is really trying. They've gotten a lot of hate on this because of its exhaust note that it had, but regardless of that, I think it's really great that they are trying. They're doing something. They're not just sticking some wheels and a suspension on it and calling it a build, That's what a lot of people do nowadays. So yes, this does have that same chambered exhaust system, but now they actually have some power level information They have a 340 kilowatt motor, which translates to 456 horsepower, and a 440 kilowatt motor, which makes 590 horsepower. And then the Banshee powertrain package, they haven't announced the power levels of that, but what makes this unique for SEMA is they are including power pack upgrades. So you can take this vehicle to your local Dodge dealer, you can get a crystal key to unlock additional horsepower. No details on that in terms of how much that's going to cost, but they do say it's going to be about 30 horsepower for each one of those upgrades that you purchase. So not a bad deal. Really excited to see what Dodge comes out with this, even though it's been a bit hated on so far. All right, now speaking of electric vehicles that are modified, we are looking at a Toyota GR86. Look at this. This thing looks awesome. It does have a 65 kilowatt hour battery that they say will last 45 minutes of racing. Not just 45 minutes of puttering around, it's 45 minutes of racing. And here's the amazing thing. It does weigh 227 extra pounds, and yes, the interior is pretty well stripped out. But regardless of that, it's still only 3,040 pounds, which is not much. It is a lot more horsepower than stock, which is incredible, but this is something that they are actually planning to build and race, which I think is really cool. But 0 to 60 in 3.9 seconds, which is significantly faster than the factory vehicle. 328 horsepower, 345 pound-feet of torque, and then it's all going to the rear wheels with a limited slip differential. So what do you think of the electric racing future? Is that something that you could get behind? All right, next up, there's not a lot of details about this vehicle, but I just love the way it looks. So the Lexus LX 600 is their top of the line SUV based on the Toyota Land Cruiser, which we no longer get here in the United States, but they're taking over what a lot of people use Land Cruisers for, the overlanding, the off-roading, that sort of excitement, which Lexus is definitely not typically a part of unless you get an older model and somebody finds a great deal on one and then modifies it. Well, this is the Alpine lifestyle concept. I love the paint, I love the wheels, I love the tires, I love the stance. It is just really cool and something that I can get behind. Obviously, instead of having the third row back there, you've got a lot of storage. It is sponsored by Yeti, as you can probably tell by all the Yeti logos all over the place. But without even seeing the interior, that is a car that I can get behind. What do you think? Do you like the Lexus LX 600 Alpine lifestyle concept? Last but not least, as you can tell, there are a lot of electric vehicles at the SEMA Show this year. But this is definitely something that is unlike any of the others. This is a 1987 Nissan Sunny pickup truck with the fender-mounted mirrors, with the BRE logo, classic livery. Like, it is just everything super cool. I love the turbofan wheels, which were popular in the 80s and are coming back because they are more aerodynamic. Now this truck, if you can read on the screen here, has a Nissan Leaf motor, and in and of itself, okay, they swapped in a Nissan Leaf motor, no big deal, but has about twice the power and more than 3 times the torque of the original gasoline-powered Sunny, so it will move a little bit faster than usual. However, it also has a 6-speed manual transmission, something that I think is sorely needed in electric vehicles. I understand they are a lot more efficient behind an automatic, and automatics are not as popular, but if you look back to like the original Honda Insight with a manual or the Honda CR-Z with a manual transmission, those are really cool cars, even though they are a kind of uninspiring powertrain. But this one, it does add some weight, 147 horsepower, 236 pound-feet of torque, and then the Sunny's manual transmission. And then other modifications, the Hakosuka Skyline wide body kit, obviously that front end conversion, LED lights, new suspension, and actually has an S13 front suspension, or S13 brakes rather, which is pretty cool. And I gotta love these wheels, like I said. So what do you think of this very cool, in my opinion, Nissan Sunny with a Leaf powertrain and a manual transmission? All right, that's gonna do it for me for 6 builds from SEMA that I am absolutely a fan of. Let me know in the comments what you think of these builds. What would you do differently? I look forward to returning to SEMA in the near future and checking out some of these cars in person, but I hope you enjoyed this look into them, and I will catch you on the next episode.